Remember when they hate, didn't think we make it. Now they break their neck just to look at me. Remember when I called you, and you didn't fall through. Now you hit yourself and look at me, look at me. You made it.
And what up, what up, what up? What's good with y'all? Alright, so what are we getting into today? So today we're about to be taking out a BAM Piccolo, aka the Turbo Coupe. So the last time you guys seen this car, I had just got it tuned, drove it home all late. I didn't really do any pulls. I did one pull and I wanted to record everything, but it was dark and trying to hold the GoPro and all that stuff. It's just GoPro does not do good at nighttime footage like this camera right here does. So I don't want to give y'all shitty quality just to have a driving clip on it. So today we're going to take it out and we're going to have a full driving video of the Turbo Coupe. And I'm interested in seeing how it feels. I got literally one pull out of it because I wanted everything to feel like it was happening for the first time with you guys. You guys have seen this car come through a lot. It's come a long way. And now I'm finally getting to the point where I'm not gonna be drifting it. So I'm interested in turning it up. Everybody was telling me the stock block was gonna end up breaking. Currently the car makes 470 horsepower, 490 torque. We'll talk more about that, what's going on with this thing, but let me move this stuff out of the way. Pull it out and then we'll talk more though, because I definitely got a few things I want to talk about and address before we leave or do anything. So oh yeah, I'll tell you I'll show you while I'm in a rush. I'll show y'all right now. So y'all know I'm in California and we've been having crazy rain lately. It's supposed to be raining all week and right now it's like a little patch of not raining. I guess in the next 40 minutes or so, it's supposed to have like an 85% chance of rain. So I really need to try to move this shit and get through it. That way I can at least get the clip done. So yeah, let me move this and then we'll talk in a second. But boy, it might start raining as we're driving. This looks skeptical. Let me hurry up. All right, perfect. We got room now. Since my guy Geif retuned this thing, let's see how the new co-start is over the old co-start that we had. Y'all remember this thing used to be horrible at co-start. It would literally take probably like 4 or 5 cranks before this thing would fire up. So I'm hoping, since my man Geif did this, hopefully this co-start is all cleaned up. Literally. All right, here we go. E85 co-start. One. Two. Woo! Right, it will literally take like 4 or 5 times before. Yep, it's on. It's good. That's not bad. On the E85 too, for this old ass car, it's not bad. Perfect. All right, let me let this thing warm up. We're gonna pull it out. Currently, the cutout is closed. I'll leave it closed right now. Probably most of the video, I'm gonna leave it closed. Cool part, when we had it on the dyno, when I did the before, or when we had it in the dyno, I did a pull with the cutout open and the cutout closed, and it made no difference. So the exhaust itself isn't restrictive. I thought it would be more restrictive because I was comparing it to like my LS stuff, and the LS is like, it has to have a big exhaust, but this is a 3.5, or this is a 3-inch downpipe to a dual 2.5-inch, and it didn't have any issues with the cutout open or closed. I was kind of weary on it, but seeing as how it's only a 5.0 liter, aka 302 cubic inch, over the 6.2 liter on the LS3s, it would make sense to why the engine doesn't flow as much exhaust air as a LS3. So I double checked on the Fox groups, some horsepower with the on-3 downpipe in their 2.5-inch back at the Y pipe. So if they're making 700, that should be, you know, good enough for me. I definitely want to check it in double. Fuck, I'm trying to rush through it. But fuck it. Y'all don't want to hear me talk no way. Let's pull this thing out. So for those that may be viewing for the first time, thermostat just now opening up. This is my Turbo 302, well, Turbo 306. So this is gonna be the first time driving this thing since the new tune. So before we even get going, I do want to say that if you guys watched the dyno video, you guys seen that we pretty much maxed out what this turbo wants to do on a 302. It is a little on the small side. It is a GTX 3584, which is, even for a 2J, it's probably on the smaller side, but I wanted something that was gonna spool up super quick, have a good response rate, and honestly this thing comes on like a light switch. It comes on super quick, there's no lag. Currently it's at 14 pounds. Before the tune it was making 392 horsepower, and then after the tune we added 2 more pounds of boost and it picked up 70 something. So currently 470 horsepower, 490 torque. We tried running 17 pounds. It actually made more power with less boost, so indication that the exhaust housing is too small. Only downside is they don't offer a bigger exhaust housing for the turbo setup. So the next step would be to get a bigger turbo if I want to make more power. But yeah, for this, it's definitely fun, man. The whole time you guys have been watching this car, it's literally made 392 horsepower. Like, even when I was racing everybody and literally gapping shit, drifting it, we all thought it made more power than what it did. 400 horsepower goes a long way in a Fox body. I kid you not. Even when I was racing the C6 and all kind of stuff, like 400 in the Fox is a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but it's a fast car for what you get. These cars weigh about 2,700 pounds. I would assume mine is roughly there. Maybe low 26s, but yeah, we'll put bigger wheels on. Yeah. Hard to say. It's probably about 27 something if I had to guess. Other than that, that's a simple rundown on here, man. I'm not gonna get into like the full suspension. You can see my molding hanging off. I'm not gonna get into the full suspension, all that stuff, because a lot of y'all are already familiar with it. So I'm gonna jump in this thing. We're gonna go for a little drive, and we're gonna see how the new horsepower feels, man. Extra 70 horsepower should definitely be noticeable for sure. But with all that being said, I think this is almost about full. There we go. Thermostat's pretty much fully opened up. We'll see how this feels. Determine whether I'm gonna leave it like this or if I'm gonna add a little bit more power. Alright, here we go. I see like 2 or 3 drizzles on the windshield right now. But the road is dry, so we should still be able to get a good accurate reading on how this thing's gonna feel. Live first time drive reaction with the homies on the tube. My peoples. 70, I think 71, 72 extra rear wheel should definitely be noticeable. On top of that, my boy Geith is a fantastic tuner, so when he did my supercharged coupe, the swings thing, like that car felt like night and day difference. Drivability felt fantastic. That's why I wanted to have him retune this car for me, just because I knew what type of tuner he was. And man, from the work he did for me on my last car, it was just like I had to have him retune this car. And even on the drive home, when I drove it from the dyno, like drivability, everything feels like flawless on here. No hiccups, no nothing. He added a lot of timing down low to get this thing to spool up some more. Who the f you honking at? I can't go nowhere. This old ass nigga. Bro, really bugging. Well, knock the tires off for show. Guy did do was he lowered my limiter. Before we're revving to about 6,300, and now I'm set to like 5,800 or so. So limiter is a lot lower. Well, I wouldn't say a lot lower, it just feels like you're coming up on the limiter a lot faster than previously, just because on a Fox body they don't rev that high anyway. Granted, you don't really need to. I want to say this car falls off of power with this turbo combo around 4 something anyway, so like the power band on here feels big. Like granted, you don't rev as high, but when you make all the power down low, you don't need to rev high. That's kind of like the advantage on why I sized this turbo up with this car how I did. Everybody was saying that the stock block cracks at 500 and all that, so I was like hella weary on it and not trying to crack the block, so I spec'd it out to make a lot of low end power but 500 horsepower max. All right, let's see. Bruh, it feels a lot different. Oh. Hey, this thing feels pretty quick. I should set up a couple runs just to see how this thing does like against other cars that are making like probably like 700 or something. I think with this car making just under 500, I think it would probably be a good run for like some 700 horsepower cars. Just the power to weight on here is a big difference. Like this car feels pretty quick. Granted, it's not fast as my 350Z, it's not fast like the Vet, but for a car that makes 470 horsepower, like it feels pretty good. Definitely want to set up some runs though, just to get like a good comparison, because you know when you tell people a horsepower number, they don't believe it. They be like, nah, it don't make no power. Like you gotta have 1,000 horsepower to be fast. Or that's not really true, man. Y'all gotta stop believing everything y'all see on 1320 and that racing channel and stuff. Like everybody ain't making 800 to 1,000 horsepower. Like, well, yeah, this thing feels good. Let's try to brake boost it. Get some room. See how traction is with these new tires. Oh yeah. Hey, this thing gets it. And it doesn't overpower the 285s. Like they're kind of like a stickier compound, but they're not like a full R compound. For the power level, it works. Like I don't have to have a drag radial. I can still keep it on the 18s where it looks nice. Let's turn around right here. Hopefully get like a nice little stretch. Car feels good, man. Shout out to my guy Guys, dude. Car feels good. Everybody was telling me that these things break at 500. I'm seeing people that are saying about 650 is what the stock block will hold. Like I've been waiting for this thing to break. Like I want to do like a 302 dart block. Like I don't want to do a 351, 363, nothing big. Like a lot of people do big motors, bigger turbos, but I want to do like a small motor that revs high. Like literally a 302, no bigger than a 331. I can keep my same trick flow heads, keep the same cam, just the old school basic setup. Like with the bigger turbo, throw some boost at it, this thing will make like 700 horsepower for sure, especially with a dart block. The only reason this thing doesn't make more power right now is because I don't want to break the block. Uh-oh, we're starting to get some rain. Starting to get some rain. See the drizzle's coming. Alright, we need to hurry up and get back home. Like the car feels so good. I would really be curious to see how this thing feels at like 550 wheel or something, man. think people really understand how far like just a little bit of power goes in the Fox body. Like Fox body people know. Look at that, comes on hella fast. Look, like no lag at all. Look, $3 grand already wants to go. So one thing I have been thinking about, and I was talking to my tuner Gaith about, literally when I had left the dyno, we were saying that he thinks that this thing would probably make, well, for sure it would make more power with a bigger turbo, but he thinks it would breathe better. He thinks the back pressure in the exhaust housing is also keeping the number a little lower than what this thing could make at that boost level. So it's almost like if I got a bigger turbo, it'd almost be like adding a bigger exhaust on here, because the restriction isn't in the exhaust itself, it's in the back housing on the turbo. So going with the bigger turbo, I probably wouldn't lose much spool up, just because it would get rid of the restriction and kind of just help this thing spool up a little better. So I'm tempted to do maybe like a 72 or 73 mil, and I think that would be the icing on the cake with like probably like a 115 AR. No lag, man. No lag at all. Honestly, I'm tempted. Like, do I put the bigger turbo on here just to help it breathe better, make more power, or do I just leave it right here? Like, the power to grip ratio and weight ratio on here is like ideal. Like, I ain't broke nothing. I'm not at that point where I'm breaking stuff. Like, I can drive it wherever. So it's like kind of hard to decide on like what to do. Like, I can leave it, or I can be like, all right, let's try something else. Look at that. So responsive though. Like, I love the response on this thing. What to do? But if I do add a bigger turbo, I'm definitely gonna have to put a TKX in this car also. I'm getting ready to do a TKX on the Swangs thing, so I mean, ideally this would for sure need a TKX. This car makes more torque than the Swangs thing, but the Swangs thing makes more horsepower. But centrifugals never make as much torque as the turbo. Like, it's almost impossible for a centrifugal to make more torque than horsepower, just because of the linear power band that centrifugals make over turbos. Ooh, there go the popo. All right, so like I was saying before we see the boys, centrifugals don't make more torque than horsepower because the power band's a lot linear. So you don't get peak boost into peak RPM. So you don't even hit full boost into redline usually on centrifugal cars. That's why they don't make the big high torque numbers like turbo cars. Like, granted, you can make a lot of torque, but you'll never ever see a centrifugal that makes more torque than horsepower like you will see on a turbo car. So this, like the Swangs thing made 496 horsepower with like 450 foot-pounds of torque, whereas this made 490 torque, 470 horsepower. Whatever that noise is hella annoying. I need to find that. On the windshield, so let's get this thing back home. Alright, we just getting back. It's barely getting ready to start raining. See, it's starting to hit the windshields, but yeah, man, it's hard to say, man. What do y'all think? If you knew you had extra power on the table, would you take it? Like, realistically, it needs a bigger turbo. It needs a bigger turbo just to be more efficient. This turbo is probably just like right at the edge of being too small for a V8. Like if 500 horsepower was your goal, then this will be the turbo setup for you. That's why when these kits comes, they usually come with like a 67 or a 70 mil, depending on if it's ball bearing or journal bearing. So they kind of map the kit out because, again, stock blocks usually crack at 500, so people would usually be going for 500. But I haven't cracked the block, man. I literally do everything people say not to do with this thing. I sit it on the limiter. I raised the limiter. We just lowered the limiter back. I'm tempted to run a bigger turbo. No lie, like to try it. Let me pop this thing. The only dilemma is with the bigger turbo, it's super close to the alternator, so I don't know how I would get around that. I think probably I want to say 79 mil is the biggest I've seen on this kit, and then some people end up relocating the alternator to the other side. Oh, it's coming down now. Hold on, gotta pull this thing in. Oh God! Yeah, I'll be back with y'all. Man, I guess that was perfect timing right there. That was perfect timing. All right, back to what I was saying. We'll see what the future holds for this thing. I really do want to turn it up. It's retired as a drift car. Honestly, don't care if it blows up. I'm really looking for an excuse to do a 302 dart block or even a 302R block, either or, whatever I find. But the goal for this is I want like a 700, between 700 and 750 horsepower. I think at that power level, old school 302 vibes, just like classic old school shit. Like I don't want to do nothing new, just old school classic shit. So we'll see. 700 horsepower. It's doable how this car's set up. You know, we just need a bigger turbo and a block that'll hold the power. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. got to sneak in a little video for y'all before it started raining. With all that being said, man, I'm about to wrap it up. It's gonna be raining for the next 4 or 5 days. So we'll see the next time we can get out. Look online, be on the forums, checking to see what the rumor, the myth is. I want to get some direct comparisons and see what people with stock blocks are running and making, how long their shit's been together before I decide to just be like, let's do this bigger turbo and send it. But yeah, man, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, like always, love y'all greatly. Appreciate y'all for watching and rocking with your boy. Till next time.